Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nebius. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking a couple of interpretations, and within both scenarios we identified only a three-wave pattern to the upside, which wasn't a strong proponent for continuation to even higher prices. However, we did manage to hold here the 78.6% retracement, and we did manage to have already a quite nice reversal to higher prices. Now, the question remains within which interpretation this really is playing out, as within the white structure we are really only looking for this to build a larger A, B, C pattern. Yeah? Whereas in the orange interpretation we are looking to build a larger leading diagonal where the wave 1 would already have a top in place here, and this would have been a wave 2 correction and a wave 3 would already be unfolding. Now, even this white structure can still turn into a larger leading diagonal, but the white structure would require currently to build here a 5-wave move to the upside within a wave C, whereas in the orange interpretation, this wave 3 would be able to have a wave A top already in place within this structure and would allow a much deeper retracement in a wave B correction. And to be clear, this orange interpretation with this wave A doesn't need to have a top in place here, because the wave A can also work as a 5-wave pattern, so further direct extensions to higher prices are also possible within a wave A, but that is absolutely necessary within the white interpretation, and that would have allowed a much more shallow area of support, and in fact it would have required not to break $51. Now, in the previous video we had already formed the initial structure to the downside, and we identified that as an initial 5-wave pattern, which would have suggested that after a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance, we should expect, with high probabilities, trend continuation within at least another 5-wave structure. And we can actually assume this to have been satisfied by what followed after our previous video. We did in fact even form a lower low within this extension to lower prices, but with such an unconvincing wave C, I cannot rule out still the possibility of this being rather an overshoot and for the wave B to still be forming. And until we break here $122.8, I wouldn't be able to provide a clear indication, especially not with the structure that has formed since this follow-up low in this push to the downside. Now, we are going to follow through this idea of a wave 5 unfolding here in this white interpretation, where we would have to actually look for this to be unfolding as an ending diagonal within the wave 5, as clearly we only have a 3-wave structure in this initial reversal. Yeah, not very fortunate. We would have been able to identify a quite high quality trade setup if we were to build an initial 5-wave move to the upside. But since this is not the case, we have to really track a much more complex and much more difficult structure to identify, to trade. Basically, for everything, it is going to be much more difficult given the complex pattern that has formed within this initial push to higher prices. And I said that we will track this in white. Well, we will actually track this in green, because this will also work out once again within the orange interpretation within this larger wave A. But within the white structure, yeah, we will leave the wave 4 bottom to have been here, and within the yellow structure we will actually track the potential reset of a wave C within this area. Now, before we move on, I wanted to briefly remind you that if you enjoyed the video, it would be greatly appreciated if you leave a like. If you enjoy these updates, and we actually provide quite many of them, yeah, we post multiple videos every single day, you could also subscribe, and if you want to support us directly, you can check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to join our channel newsletter, where we identify for you high quality structures. The link for sign up is in the description, and it is completely free. Literally doesn't cost you anything to sign up and to receive an email with the updates once a month. Now, in this structure, I do not have any clear indication that a top would be in place at this point within even a supposed wave B. Yeah, we have retraced here previously into the 61.8% retracement, we have extended lower. Well, at this point we have pushed beyond that last swing high, and it wasn't a very sustained break just yet, but this structure seems more inclined to push to higher prices still. So at this point, I'm tracking this as a wave 1, we would have here a wave 2, and I would be looking for an A, B, C pattern to be forming within a wave 3 to the upside. And within this wave 3, I would be looking to reach the ideal target at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, and that would be the $143 level. Yeah, if we manage to extend to this level, we would be able with some degree of reliability to track afterwards a wave 4 correction and a fifth wave to complete the larger structure, and this would at the same time be expected to take us very much out of our area of resistance, indicating with the highest possible likelihood based on the current given structure that a bottom would have been in place within a wave 4 in this structure. So the focus really remains at this point within the internal pattern, where once again we are looking for an ABC structure to unfold, and at this point I am focused on this building an ABC structure within a larger wave A. It is technically possible for this to be a larger 5 if moved to the upside within the wave A, but at this point I would probably prefer to track this as an impulse within a wave C, as this would be the first scenario to actually get invalidated. Now, nonetheless, don't get me wrong, it is completely possible to already have a top in place within an internal wave 3, part of the larger wave A, as we did build here a 3-wave structure, exactly what would have been expected, and we even surpassed the ideal target for such a wave 3, the 138.2% extension of a wave 1. But for now, I will continue to focus here within the smaller time frame, where I'm looking for a double 1-2-1-2 setup and even a wave 3 that could still extend to higher prices itself. So basically I have here this structure in a 1-2 and a wave 3 that would still be extending, and whether this wave 3 would have a top here or not, we would have a near identical area of support. I'm basically looking for continuation to higher prices within this expectation against $104.5. Now this would be the easier pattern to follow internally. If we had instead this as a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5, well, I would need to allow a much deeper retracement area, and I will actually need to highlight this support zone, because without breaking here $96, we cannot really consider a wave B top in yellow to be already in. But clearly, already below the 50% retracement in green, the probabilities would start to look more grim. And with the break of the 61.8% retracement in blue, once again we are looking for the wave C to likely have already started in the yellow interpretation instead. Now, I believe this should be pretty simple. However, unfortunately we cannot regard any of these structures on this chart really as high probability patterns, as high probability structures for continuation to higher prices. Unfortunately, at this point, we still do not have an initial 5-wave move to the upside within any of these areas, and really, the only pattern that would have suggested with high probabilities continuation to higher prices on this chart would have been this as a potential wave 1, and not even this was a truly high quality structure. Now, again, if you want us to identify for you high quality structures that actually indicate clearly the levels of support that you need to watch for accumulation and for the reversal, you can sign up to our newsletter. And I believe we can stop here for now, and with one more mention that if we manage to get here a reset in this wave C in yellow, that could prove to be another opportunity to form an initial 5-wave move to the upside that could provide an actual reliable trade setup. But until this is the case, we are looking at a quite complex and difficult structure. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, don't forget to check out our channel membership. And other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.